Hello viewers, well welcome to my first hands-on the new Ride game. We've seen some logos, we've seen some early trailers, now we're going to see our first little glimpse of gameplay, and where better to do it than here at the Ducati Museum. I've had a tour of the Ducati factory, a great privilege today to do that. I've had a tour of the museum which shows the many bikes, and we'll look at those on the forthcoming video, just where the company came from and how it evolved through the ages, including the success they've had at multiple levels over the years, before looking at a Ducati bike as it'll appear in the Ride game. Still at an early stage, but in this wonderful setting it's great to enjoy some two-wheeled action. But first let's take a look at the museum we have there and just a glimpse behind the scenes at Ducati and their journey over those many years of biking. So Ducati, a great name in motorbiking, and a great privilege to visit the factory. You can see the MotoGP bike here which was on display. It's always a privilege to get this kind of access behind the scenes to the factory to see how the bikes are built. Of course we weren't given access to the MotoGP section, but we were allowed up to the door where you could look through this window. But Ducati shows how the company started, the radios, the different equipment that they worked on before moving into the more familiar side of the company's products, how it evolved over the many years from essentially mopeds to the bikes we see today, and a wonderful collection covering the ages in terms of all the different bikes that they had here as well. So it really is one of the best collections, or probably the best collection in the world. There are a few one-off examples that were missing that are owned now by collectors, who thankfully bring them back from time to time for different members of Ducati to appreciate. Interesting examples such as this one here you see with the tennis ball up on the handlebars there. That was contained some liquid for wiping your eyes, or that stripped down the fuel tank so you could actually see how much fuel there was. There was no fuel gauge. They didn't have a fuel gauge to save on weight, and it shows how competitive Ducati's always been through the ages. All the different bikes there from Carl Fogarty's, you know, it really is a wonderful opportunity to have this tour right up to modern day, and then you can see the modern day MotoGP bikes. Only bikes that have won races are actually featured in here, so there will be a couple of omissions. Obviously the past couple of seasons, or past few seasons, haven't been so great for Ducati, so they're working to turn around their performance from a competitive level. But in terms of trophies, they're a team who knows how to win, and no doubt when they sort the bike out, which they will at some stage, then it will turn around for them. But of course producing a new model of bike takes many years, but the trophy cabinet really is just so impressive. And again, it was a great privilege just having a few moments to quickly wander around the museum. Then they gave us the tour, taking us around bit by bit of everything that Ducati's done and been involved in, and different riders. Just always a privilege to see this, and certainly for biking fans it would have been a dream come true. But then it was on to a presentation of the game. Andrea Basilio there just giving the introduction before I got my first hands on. There's no audio on this video at this stage. Again, this is a very, very early demo. I'm surprised they're showing the game so early actually, because it is very early, but we're riding a Ducati appropriately and racing round one of the new circuits. So riding round, I've got traction control off, and it gives us a chance to first get a feel for the handling and just get a look visually at where they're going with it as well. So visuals are nice. I would prefer them to run at 60 frames. They don't run at 60 frames yet. Again, still at an early stage. The actual environment itself, I'm assuming there's still more detail to put in, because it does feel slightly lifeless at the moment. There's not enough in the way of crowds. There needs to be a bit more action, a bit more just general atmosphere and tarmac detail there, and just giving it a bit more of a gritty feel. Handling on the bike, I know, is going to be something that people are going to talk to me a lot about. Getting the bike to pull in is difficult at the moment. You need to brake early and get the bike in. If you brake late, I find that even if you slow down, you can't have the bike cut back in on yourself. if you know what I mean. It just seems to continue on that wide axis, which means it continues understeering through the corner if you don't get the entry to the corner right, which is kind of what you can see there as well. So the bike was always just going to keep going wide for me, no matter how slow I went. So I'm learning the course, trying to get some more speed and find out where I can find some speed. And the speed is found all in the corners. It's all found in getting early into those corners. If you start understeering into the corner, you're going to be losing speed all the way through the corner and down the next straight as well. So speed is all to be found in those locations, and knowing when you can be flat out through a corner, such as there. Obviously they had the racing line turned on for this demo, so that gives us a rough idea. Saves a lot of time. Otherwise, no doubt there would have been a lot more falling off the bike when not knowing the severity of a corner. Having said that, I do have a map in the bottom corner, which is always dead handy. Again, another example there, going slowly, but just wasn't able to cut the bike in on the corner. So certainly someone made a little joke to me about perhaps that's because it's a Ducati. Well, you never know. Maybe that's a nuance of the bike handling. But certainly it's something which we're going to investigate. Now let's talk a little bit about the game. Game's coming out, I don't have an exact date, but around sort of April, May, as I understand it, 2015. Essentially like the Gran Turismo of bike games, I guess you could call it. It's going to have lots of bikes from all the major manufacturers, all the dream bikes that you've wanted to ride, a range of courses, and we're going to be running as many details as we have on the Team VV websites as well. So all the details, all the previews are going to be here. If you have any questions for the developers, I do forward your comments, especially those on the website, to the developers. And I will be packaging that for them to see and at least make them aware of, because there's always little improvements which lots of you can identify, especially if you're bike fans, that you want to see in the game, that you feel could be improved upon. You've even felt from this video you feel could be improved upon. Do let them know. As I say, this is a very early build, and I'm not certain as to whether this circuit is finished or whether there's going to be more put into it at this stage, but it's a nice graphics engine. There's lots of atmosphere to it, but just needs a bit more. Just feels a bit lonely. There's not enough activity going on in terms of the environment at this stage, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops. And now I just park up for a moment just to sort of look at the scenery and look at the bike model, see it in a bit more detail. And you can see there just a different angle. I'm going to pull over in just a moment and then take a look at the photo mode. So it's a very early stage in terms of information. Bike models are gradually being released officially by Milestone as they have that information, and they're certainly very confident that this is going to be one of their biggest products, and this is one of their own homegrown developed bike games in terms of brand. And you can see the detail there running. This is the PS4 version. I'll just point out, if anybody's inquiring on the version, that I expect all the home versions to be pretty similar. And just a look at the in-game detail that we see on the bike as well. Nice lighting, detail on the rider, detail on the model of the Ducati. That's a very, very expensive bike as well. And you can see there. Just to zoom in, just to have a look at what they're working on at this stage. What the detailed leathers on the bike up. Nice little depth of field effects and lighting effects that they're putting into this graphics engine. So lots of detail in place so far. It's looking the part, but until we see a whole host of bikes running, it's very difficult to picture how this game's going to look in the end, in the finished build. But certainly it's an early version for some of you to take a look at. I'm going to be getting all the information I can over the coming weeks, as I say, both in written form and in video form, so I'll be covering all of the ride information right up till launch, and you can look forward to, as I say, I'll be doing a fair few laps on this nearer the time to really get an idea of the nuances on the handling, the different bikes, the different types of courses and how the bikes encounter them, and what activities there will be in the game. But that's it from me for now. I'll leave you with a bit of rotating camera action, and there'll be more from me very soon.